Today is Monday, June 16th, and we're at the Lang Farm in South Georgia, and we're gonna talk about soybeans. Come on. Georgia soybean growers face the challenge of maximizing crop performance in extreme heat, high humidity, and constant pest pressure. But currently, their biggest heavyweight hitter that they're defending against is the white-tailed deer. So let's take a closer look. Now, deer grazing is unpredictable, and we know that feedings will occur repeatedly, especially if left unmanaged. And so to get a better understanding of soybean response to deer grazing behavior, we have set up a study looking at several feeding events across maturity group and planting date. Now I want to share with you some in-field observations that we've seen thus far in the growing season. At this point in time, we're in the middle of June, so we've already made it through our 4 feeding events here on this planting date, on our May 1st planting date. And so we're looking at the plot here on our group 4s. As you can see, we have some flowers here already. And this was only one feeding event. We have varied responses to these grazing events. This plot in particular, we saw a reduction in stand, but this was not replicated across all of the plots. And so I guess it depends on a few factors, how close we're getting to those cotyledons, if those cotyledons are getting clipped off or not, which does mimic some of the grazing that we're seeing out here in the surrounding area, because we are getting some deer pressure in our study and around our study. And so we're trying to mimic and capture that the best we can. Some of the other data we want to capture here is plant heights across these grazing. We want to capture nodes at some point later on when the beans have matured a little bit longer, as well as the number of pods that we're getting, and then of course final yield as well. And so I think this will give us some good quality data that we can use so that we can move forward with the study and start implementing some mitigation measures based on what that data tells us. The way we have set up this experimental design includes 2 planting dates. We have a May and a June. And then within those planting dates, we have planted 2 maturity groups, a group 4 and 5 for May, and a group 5 and 6 for June. And so I think this is a good way to better capture the response of these 2 maturity groups, or 3 maturity groups for that matter, and the potential sensitivity across those 2 planting dates. And so the treatments included in this study are the feeding frequency as well. And so we have a frequency ranging from 0 up to 4 feedings. And so feedings begin when soybeans have reached their first trifoliate, and then the grazing event, or our clipping, occurs every week for the first 4 weeks of the growing season. And so to simulate deer grazing, we used a hedge trimmer and clipped the soybeans just above the cotyledons for the first 2 feeding events. For the 3rd and 4th feeding, in an attempt to mimic deer grazing, we left the lower stems attached and trimmed only the top of the plant. In finishing, I think we're going to capture some really good data that is going to help us determine our mitigation strategies, especially for understanding the critical time to manage soybeans in the early development, as well as best return on investment. If you found this of interest, keep up with us by liking, sharing, and commenting, as this will help support the grains team and push that algorithm to reach more people in our communities. Lastly, I would like to thank the Georgia Soybean Commodity Commission for their support and the University of Georgia. Until next time.